Good evening, students. Online students, am I audible and visible? Please tell me in the comments. So, how's your preparation coming along? Good. Appearing in which year? 2027. All right. All right. So, how many of you have attended the previous classes? You have. And why you people have not done that? Other people? No? Not interested in writing better answers? Okay. So let's start. This class will be about writing better answers of art and culture and modern India, modern Indian history, right? How many of you have read the syllabus of art and culture and modern Indian history as given in the UPSC notification? Do you know? Someone? Nobody knows it. It's very simple. It's only 3 lines. For art and culture, it says that art forms, literature and architecture from ancient to modern times, right? And for Indian history, it is about from mid 18th century till present. But what you have to see in that? You have to see events, personalities, and issues. And then freedom struggle, stages of freedom struggle, and contributions or contributors from different parts of the country. This is very simple syllabus, right? Exactly. But just give me 1 second. Yes, here it is. But when we see that the syllabus that you have seen, you might have come across books also. Which is the most famous book that you study for, let us say, modern Indian history? Spectrum, right? So in those books, how many of you know that, let us say, any standard books, right? Can I write standard books or lectures or classes, right? Now, how many of you have seen UPSC previous year questions or the themes that UPSC expects you to prepare? कितनी वो themes हैं, कितने वो questions हैं जो previous year question से modern Indian history के topic पे UPSC पूछता है? क्योंकि पढ़ने का तो the point of reading modern Indian history is only when you know what UPSC is going to ask you, right? The answer writing starts from reading itself, isn't it? What you are reading, you will be reading on which you have to write the answer. If you are reading everything but you do not know on which dimension I have to write the answer, on which topic I have to write the answer, then you will be reading even the useless things. Useless means from exams point of view, right? You are here not to become historians but to become civil servants, right? So tell me the themes. Can anyone tell me which themes UPSC asks? I'll tell you. First, they talk about impact of British policies, right? You will find many questions on this theme, impact of British policies, right? Then what they talk about, events or movements in Indian history, like revolt of 1857 or something like that, non-cooperation movement. They ask direct question on that as well, right? Then what they ask about contribution of a section of people. These are the themes. What are these? These are the themes. They might ask about contribution of women. They might ask about contribution of business class, merchant class, contribution of foreigners. They have asked in previous years, right? Then what they do, fourth theme is personalities. They ask question about personalities in mains examination. Gandhi, Nehru, Tagore, Subhash. They ask about them. And what they ask in the fifth theme and the last theme is ideologies or ideas. Mostly GS mains questions these 5 themes most of the time, right? And when you will read it, first you should know that these are the areas, these are the themes that they will be asking questions from. And when you read it, these are not in isolation. These are not in isolation. It is the impact, it is result of British policies, the theme one, that the second thing is happening. Without their evil impact, there will not be any revolutions, right? And in those themes, in those events or movements, who is participating? This section of people, whether it is women, whether it is working class, right? That theme 3 that they are asking. And who is leading these? Those famous personalities that you are reading about. And the ideas or ideologies, that is the ideology of those famous personalities that they follow, right? So although they ask different themes, they ask questions from different themes, but somewhere these different themes are also interconnected, right? So whenever you read, first you have to read through these 5 lenses, right? And you should also know that these 5 lenses are also interconnected. So this was about modern history, right? Same kind of themes, different themes, but same on similar pattern you will find in art and culture as well, right? So in today's class, what are we going to do? We are going to learn how to write better introductions for modern India, how to write better conclusions for modern India and art and culture both, how to write, let us say, generate points in the body part. Let us say the question is about impact of British policies. So which dimension you should cover? There might be political impact, economic impact, social impact, religious impact. So which dimensions, right? How to generate more points in the, what is the trick to generate more points, right? And after that, you will also learn what kind of value addition, what kind of map, diagram, flow charts we can make, right? So in the beginning, we will be starting from art and culture, right? Sachi ma'am will be taking art and culture. And if the time permits, then I will be doing modern India today. If the time does not permit, then we will do it in the next class, right? So Sachi ma'am, please come. All of you must know Sachi ma'am, I think. She is a ranker in 2024. Sachi ma'am, please come.
Hello everyone. Am I audible, online students? Please tell if I'm not audible. Okay. So let's start with art and culture. Personally, I feel that specifically for mains, art and culture is a bit difficult topic because in prelims we know about things that okay, certain fact has been given, but to, let's say, reproduce that particular fact in answer format while you're writing in mains is the difficult task. So what I personally did, I'll be showing that. It is very raw, very crude, and if you are able to replicate it, it's well and good. Okay, so let's start with the introduction. Now, introduction, you'll find in the market that introduction for polity, introduction for ethics, introduction for economics, these are all very much available. But for art and culture, it's a bit tricky area, it's a bit gray area. For introduction, that's why, and it has to be very context specific. You cannot write anything like constitutional articles. You cannot write anything which is very much, for economics we can say just pick budget, data and facts, but we cannot say that for the art and culture. What we can write in the conclusion, we cannot write Viksit Bharat. Our Bharat was already Viksit in ancient India. So what sort of introductions, conclusion, how we can generate points from the very limited knowledge that we have studied for prelims. Okay. For introductions, there were few, let's say 5 to 6 types that are generally followed. There will be hardly 5 to 6 questions, and I tried to implement each of this while I was attempting those questions. So like in first question, I'll be using any quote based introduction. In the second question, I'll be trying to use, let's say, definition or very twist based introduction. In third, I'll be using static or fact. In fourth, contemporary hook. So in that way, I'll be doing it. Okay, so let's start with the first quotation or verse hook. In this, what I generally followed is just use AI as much as possible. Just use AI. We are living in AI era, and you will be very, let's say, left behind if you will not be using it. So use AI as much as possible. Use the quotations related to historical things, and then try to link it to the facts that you are reading in history. So, for example, UPSC's favorite topic is Mughals. In that particular aspect as well, the Akbar. So Akbar is a very much predictable topic. So what I started it, and if UPSC is asking question, it will be mainly about his religious tolerance policies. So I prepared a beforehand introduction which says, Rumi wrote, the lamps are different, but the light is the same. Akbar's Sule-Kul was nothing but this insight translated into statecraft. Getting my point? So this quotation, I linked it to Akbar's Sule-Kul. Similarly, you can do it with other aspects as well. I'm not saying it's easy. It's just that you have to keep thinking over it. Getting my point? You have to use AI. You have to give it a very good prompt. And then it will be a cakewalk. Second is the definition or twist-based introduction. In this, what people generally do is, if any civilization or any empire question has been asked in the question, they will be going forward with the, let's say, the definition, or they'll be simply giving the timeline of that particular empire. But what I did was, like the Harappan architecture, a question was asked in 2025. If you will be going through the PYQs, you will be getting that. So Harappan architecture is conventionally described as urban civilization in baked bricks. This is again a key phrase. I have not prepared it. I have used what I've already told you. Urban civilization in baked brick. Now, Harappan civilization is a very much predictable topic. You should know such topics. But a closer look reveals it was less about bricks and more about a remarkable civic imagination that India is still trying to recreate in 2026. A question was already being asked earlier on the Harappan civilization. The question was how we can take the learnings of Harappan civilization while we are doing the urban planning now. So I just picked that particular theme and made an introduction of that. Understood? Getting my point? The third is static or fact. Static or fact. A very much predictable, or most people use this. So whenever there is a question on any civilization, any empire, or any other particular period of time, try to give any data or fact regarding it in the introduction itself. Otherwise, you will be just rephrasing what has been written in the question. If you will give some or the other peripheral data also, that would be more than enough. Like if a question was asked in 2020 about Pala Buddhism. Now, it's very difficult to write an introduction based on that. But what you can do is, Nalanda housed 10,000 students and 2,000 teachers at its peak under the Palas. a scale of higher learning unmatched anywhere in the contemporary world. So this fact, I used it. It is not that you will not be knowing it. When you will be preparing for prelims, the facts, the data, the figures, you will be very much, they'll come very much handy to you. It's just that you have to use it appropriately. Understood? So this is the third way that you can think of. Now the fourth is contemporary hook. If you are able to bring the history to the contemporary times, you are able to show the relevance or the link or the learnings of historical things in the contemporary times, it's done. You have showed the application. Because UPSC does not want how much dates you are able to remember. They have already checked that in your prelims. What they require in mains is the analysis part. So for IVC, urban planning, what again a question was being asked in 2025, a repeated theme. Why I'm telling this to you? So that you can prepare it. Every time we struggle with waterlogging in Bangalore or drainage in Mumbai, the Harappans seem to whisper from years ago, we had already solved this. Try to be unique, honestly. Do not be afraid or scared that, okay, if we'll write this, if you are writing it in a well-behaved manner, that's more than enough. Don't be scared that what will happen if we'll write it. Just try to write it in the test paper first. Let's see what remarks they give. And then you can replicate it. But the key, because everyone will be writing, if the question was being asked in IVC urban planning that, okay, with such and such period it was existing, that's it. They'll not be given very much crucial or important thing, the relevance of that particular area. So we need to give that. We have highlighted the contemporary problem, the waterlogging in Bangalore or drainage in Mumbai. The mains already happens in monsoon season. So the impact would be even greater. Okay. So that's how. The sixth type is sixth type is cultural significance and cultural significance introduction. So if any question is coming on, let's say any temple architecture, any sort of dance, any sort of painting, any other art thing that you can think of, and if you are able to show the cultural significance of that particular thing, then it's a good introduction. Like India temple architecture, if a question comes on India's temple architecture, is not merely a religious expression but a reflection of political authority, technological advancement, and regional identity. Now, if a question comes on Dravida temple, Nagar temple, Vesara temple, the same introduction can be copied. Or any other temple. If a UPSC asks a question on any specific temple, the same example you can copy. So that's how you have to be smart. You have to prepare them beforehand and use it. The seventh type of introduction is continuity change introduction, where you will be showing how things have moved or evolved from the ancient times to modern times. For example, if a question comes on Bhakti movement, again a very important topic. So while the Bhakti movement challenged the caste hierarchies and ritualism, it also retained several existing social structures. So it automatically elevates your answer. This shows your analysis skill. So if a question comes where you have to give the pros and cons or negatives or positives or the implications of bhakti movement, then you can show the debate in the introduction itself. So this introduction gives you a debate analytical point of view, where you'll be showing that okay, bhakti movement challenged caste hierarchies and ritualism, but it also retained several existing social structure. It was not able to eradicate all the social problems. It still retained some of the problems. So you can show the debate in the introduction itself. It automatically elevates your answer. Now, these were particular introductions that I used to follow. If you are able to replicate it,
What if they ask about the positive consequences of those social and religious movements? Then how this contradictory line?
no. The thing is, this sort of introduction you can use when a debate sort of question has been asked. If a positive implication is being asked, then there are other things, cultural significance you can show. You can show the contemporary hook, how the bhakti movement teachings are still relevant in India. Yeah. Yes. That this is not final thing. Like if a question comes on IVC, you will be giving that. If a question comes on the negatives or positives or the limitations of IVC, you will be following the continuity or change wala introduction. It's you have to use it. That's a very basic thing you should be knowing. It's not that I'm giving it this final verdict. You have to change it as per the tone of the question. Okay. Now body. So for art and culture, what I did was, because it had a huge amount of data, facts and such things, I followed mnemonics technique. Now mnemonics is a very personal thing. I used to make very funny mnemonics. I used to make any mnemonic which is easier for me to remember. But one, let's say, template or framework that I followed for art and culture, and one disclaimer, that particular question has to be broad in nature. It need not to be very specific. So if a question comes on which requires a very broad understanding, that then I used to follow one particular mnemonic which I'll be showing you. And then I'll be showing you few other examples that how you can follow mnemonics techniques, because it helps you retain your answer. Because it's not that you do not know your answer, you do not know the facts. It's just that you have to remember it at the right time. And in such pressure time, when you have to write an answer in, let's say, 7 minutes or 10 minutes, then we tend to forget the basic facts as well. But if we are able to remember it, let's say by mnemonics or any other framework that you are able to think of, which will ultimately help you to generate points. Because please understand, what you have read is read. You might have read, let's say, 10 books, but the only communication that you and the examiner will be having is that 150 words answer. That's the only communication you will be having with him. So it does not matter how many books you read. Ultimately, how you are presenting your knowledge in that brief, concise manner, that's what matters the most. Okay. So there is one, what do I say, a template of framework which I followed. It's spectra. So if any question comes on, let's say, Akbar, on, let's say, Cholas, on, let's say, Vijayanagar Empire, on, let's say, Buddhism, Jainism, on, let's say, IVC, on, let's say, Harappan civilization, or any other repeated theme, then you can follow it. I followed it. I mean, I cannot tell you how much I followed it. It came very handy to me. How? Let's say. So spectra. First, S is social mirror. What do I mean by social mirror? You can tell what sort of society existed at that time. The hierarchies, the gender, the caste, how people worked there, how people used to see each other, what sort of occupation, was the occupation based on rank or caste or any other criteria or basis was there. P is philosophy or belief. So what was the core idea? What was the religious idea? What was the symbolism that used to be the guide of the people? So what philosophy or belief was prominent back then? Third is economy or trade. So how economy worked there? Was there any trade? What used to be produced? Who traded it? To whom it was traded? Who used to give patronage to it? Getting my point? So under economy and trade, I've given you, let's say, 3-4 points. Under social media, I've given you 3-4 points. So one point, let's say this is the first point, then 1.1 you can talk about gender, 1.2 you can talk about caste, 1.3 you can talk about hierarchy. Same goes for economy. You can talk about what sort of economy existed there. Was it a, let's say, urbanized economy? Was it a agriculture based economy? You can also talk about whether trade existed there or not, who used to patronage it. So under that as well, I've given you 3 points. Now for C, it is continuity today. So is like if there is any constitutional ethos that are still being guided by that particular practice or empire, is there any practice that is still being relevant in today's time that was back then prevalent? T, techniques or features. So what sort of models, what sort of styles, what sort of material, and how they used to work over that. So you can use that as well. For R, it is regional or cross-cultural. So what influenced it? Who used to get influenced? Was the influence only domestic or international? You must have read that even Greeks, even Romans, even Europeans used to have a cultural influence. Leave apart the economic influence. And A, analytical or critical code. So it's very important, especially in questions like ancient, medieval or art and culture, that if you give a sort of pinch of salt in the ending of your answer, it will show your critical understanding. You will not be giving only what's written, because please understand, history is all about perspectives. History is not only about facts or events or any thing that has already been done. How you see it, what are the different perspectives to it, then only the examiner would be, because you all must be knowing the IVC. Every student who is writing mains must be knowing about IVC. So what differentiates you from him or her? It differentiates how analytical you are, how you are able to give a critical touch to it. So even if you write a bit, let's say before you are concluding your answer, if you are able to write a sort of limitation or drawback or issue or problem or challenge, that will give you an edge, and it will give a holistic answer to your overall copy. Okay, so this was a basic template that I followed, that you can also follow. Apart from that, I would suggest you to prepare your own mnemonics. Like for Akbar, I prepared peace. If a question came on Akbar's religious tolerance or his policies, so it is not that I didn't know. It's just that if I had a mnemonic, I used to just write down the answers. Because please understand, there will be questions that you'll be having no idea about, and you'll be needing more time. It's not that you'll be giving 7 minutes to each answer. There will be some answers, and I am giving you this very real life experience. There will be some answers in which you'll be giving, let's say, 8 or 10 minutes. And so you have to compensate that by giving, let's say, 4 or 5 minutes to those questions which you know, and you know it very handy. So mnemonics come then. It will save your time. It will help you to complete, let's say, that particular question in 5 minutes. Okay, so that you can have that extra 2 minutes in those questions which you have no idea about, because you cannot afford to leave any question. If there is very hard picked question that you have no idea about, then only you can leave it. Apart from that, you cannot afford to leave that. So P's, like for P, I used plural quote at Ibadat Khana. Again, I've included a keyword here. For E, I used ended jazia. For A, he used alliances via marriage. He reverted the practice of his ancestors and he used marriage as a means of alliances and not conquest. For C, he used composite culture. Okay. For E, he used ethical universalism, Sulekul. So you can prepare such mnemonics. You can prepare mnemonics for, let's say, Chola period. You can prepare mnemonics for, let's say, Vijayanagar, for IVC, for Harappan, for dance, architecture, in that particular aspect as well, for each dance, for each architecture, for each art, for paintings as well. Prepare it beforehand. Because in prelims, you have the answer right in front of you. So it's not that you have to think on your own. If you see the answer and if you have read it, you know this is the right answer. But in mains, you have to think on your own and then you have to reproduce it, and that too in a structured manner, and that too in a very time-bound manner. Okay. Now the other approaches. Let's come to the other approaches of body. So dimensional approach, in which you can talk about the political life there. You can talk about the economic life there, the social life, cultural life, religious life, administrative life, how art existed at that time, how foreign policy worked at that time. You'll be knowing about it. It's just that if you have this sort of template beforehand, it will help you to generate points. Okay, so how political life was there, who was the king, whether it was a monarch or whether it was an oligarchy, what was the economic life there, how was the social life there. Under this as well, you can open up many points. Under cultural aspect, you can open many points. Under religious aspect, you can open many points. Administrative, art, foreign policy. These are the broad templates, and you'll be filling your content or information and knowledge under these themes. Okay. The second type is cause and effect. So if a question comes on a particular event, what you will be doing in general, let me tell you what I did in my first mains, which costed me, was that if a particular event was written in the question, I used to pick that event and I used to start writing the facts about it. But what changed in that particular year, which helped me to get a rank, was that I went a bit deep into that. Okay, so if a particular event is being given, what was the cause of that particular event? I'll not be writing what happened. I'll be giving the background of that event. After writing the background, I'll be giving the what sort of developments that happened in that particular event, and finally the consequences. So if a basic question comes on, let's say, any revolt, rather than writing 10 points on the facts and figures of that particular revolt or event, I'll suggest you to write three points under each subheading. That will make your answer more analytical, that will present your knowledge, and it will come very handy to the examiner, because please understand, examiner is having, let's say, hardly 2 to 3 minutes to go through your one answer, and UPSC is not answerable to you. I'm sure you must be knowing that UPSC does not give the checked answer copies. They are not answerable, they are not accountable. What they have given is given. So it's better to improvise it, it's better to show. What I've learned in my this 6 years journey is that, especially in answer writing, is to show. You show examiner that you know it, and go as analytical as possible. So rather than writing 10 factual points which everyone knows, let's give the examiner another perspective. Let's tell him what were the causes before. then how it led to development, then how it led to consequences. Don't you think it will give a better impression to the examiner? It will be a sort of flow chart. It will give a timeline perspective. And the examiner would be feeling like, okay, the person knows about it. That's it. The same knowledge, but tweaked under these headings. Okay? So let's talk about the example. So, decline of Mughal Empire. Now, what I used to do was, I used to just chart out, okay, what were how Mughals declined and what happened during Aurangzeb. But let's go a bit deep into that. What went because weak successors were there. Jagirdari crises were there, regional kingdoms were there, and European intervention. These points will come first in causes. Then what happened because of these causes? And finally, the consequence. Okay? So earlier, I used to write only these points, but now I'm sure you'll be getting it that these points will be under this heading only. You have to go beyond that. Okay. The third is positive negative template. Under this, if a question comes on, pick the tail word. If a question is on impact, if a question is on implication, if the question is on consequences, if the question is on to what extent, if a question is on comment, if a question is on discuss, critically analyze, critically evaluate, examine, then you have to show both positive as well as limitation. The question tone might be very positive to you, but then there will be underlying tone to that question. Either it will be the tail word that you will be getting. So the tail word might be, let's say, discuss, comment, analyze, examine, critically analyze. Okay? Or the underlying tone of the question will be like, you should be writing the limitations part as well. So if a question in, let's say, the question will be that the sole reason for the starting of Bhakti movement was the social hierarchies. Discuss. Now, of course, you will be writing the points where you will be showing that how social hierarchies and social ills were present because of which Bhakti movement led. But then the tail word here is discuss. So now you will be writing the other factors as well, which contributed to the Bhakti movement. Okay? The fourth is chronological template. It is generally important when a question is on evolution. If a question is on evolution, it will help you to generate good points. In what sense? What I personally used to do was, I used to this. Give the chronology, the evolution part. Rather than writing in the points, give how it evolved. Now again, a particular question can incorporate two types of templates. Like for example, you have shown the implication part, the chronology part. Now the question will not be ending only on chronology. Now you will be telling about the analysis, in which you might be giving the implication part. You can also give the positive, negative parts. You can also give the cause and effect wala part, any part, because the question will not end only on the evolution part. So question might also involve one or two templates as well. Okay, so like for example, evolution of Indo-Islamic architecture. So the broad headings will be what happened in slave dynasty, then how it changed under Khilji dynasty, then how it changed under Tughlaq dynasty, and finally how under Mughals it synthesized both the architectures. Okay. The fifth is historiography template. It is, honestly, it's a bit advanced, but it's coding. I was not able to replicate it in my first mains, but I was able to do that in my second mains. But since you have time, you are preparing it early, you will be giving it in the next year, practice it beforehand. Okay. Many of you must be having optionals from a humanities background, sociology, PSIR, anthropology, or any other history. Okay. So then you will be understanding the perspectives, the Marxist perspective and the other perspectives. So a particular, let's say if a question is on Bhakti movement, so rather than just giving the timeline in the introduction, why not to give the perspective based introduction? If a question is asking about the evaluation part or the analysis part of Bhakti movement, why not to give that particular hint of analysis in the introduction itself? Like Marxist historians view the Bhakti movement as social protest, whereas cultural historians emphasize devotional spirituality. This has given both the perspective of Bhakti movement, but from the two school of thoughts. I am telling you that under this, you can write two perspectives in the introduction itself. Okay. If a question is asking, let's say, about the analysis of Bhakti movement, then rather than doing the analysis part in the body, why not to give that particular hint of analysis in the introduction? Why not to give that debate or two counter perspective in the introduction itself? Because please understand, introduction is like a teaser or trailer to your answer. The more interesting it will be, the more interested the examiner would be to evaluate your answer. If it would be simple, like okay, Bhakti movement mein ye part hua from this timeline to this timeline, which is everyone is writing, but the examiner is not interested in that. The examiner's focus is not on Bhakti movement. The focus is on analysis. Getting my point? So this analysis should be in the introduction itself. The perspective should be in the introduction itself. Now you will be writing the same content while you are writing the body. It's just that you will be using it in the introduction part. Now the sixth. One second. Core or value added templates. Now I'll be giving you one or two types of value additions after this slide. In this, you will be getting, if a question has been asked, let's say on any particular topic. So then you need to give some sort of value additions. How you can do value addition in the body? You can do either through examples, either through data, either through, let's say, historiography, the earlier template which I talked about. These are the ways of value addition. You will be using the same fact, same data that you have studied, but while you are using it, you have to show it, let's say, in the example itself. Let's say in the point, while you are substantiating your point, you have given your argument, and now when you are writing the example, you will be quoting that particular fact. Okay, let me tell you how to do value additions. Triple S enrichment rule. If you are able to pick not all 3 S's, but let's say even 1 S, then it will change the whole perspective of your answer. The 3 S here are, first is Sanskrit or vernacular term. The terms that you will be reading, the terms, let's say, of books, of that, the terms that you must be, if you have gone through the PYQs of prelims, there are terms given, and the UPSC is asking that what does it mean, and then 4 options are given. So you'll be preparing the terms anyways. But if you use that particular term while you are writing your body and while you are substantiating your argument or point, it will elevate your point. Okay, the second S is specific site, text, or person. So if you are able to bring specificity to your body, to your point, while you are writing the answer, let's say, I'll be giving you the example as well. So in that particular aspect as well, it will be easier for you to achieve points. Give the detail in the body while you are writing your point. So the example, what I used to do was, I used to write a generic point, and then after writing a generic point, I'll be giving the example and then putting the detail. What is the detail? The fact that I've already studied for prelims. Understood? Akbar's religious tolerance. He was a religious tolerant person. Example, Sulekul. So rather than writing this as the point, I'll be using the same content while I am writing the example. Understood? Because you do not have any particular fact or data or any other core value additions with yourself. It's just the same knowledge. Believe me, I haven't studied anything else for mains, art and culture, or ancient or medieval for mains. Content wise, I'm telling you, I've used the same notes that I used for prelims. It's just that you need to show the examiner that, okay, I know this, and you have to revise it properly. Okay, so if we are writing any point, so this will be the Bhakti movement was egalitarian, it challenged caste. But if I write the Bhakti movement's egalitarianism is visible in the Sadhukadi dialect of Kabir, the Marathi Abhangas of Tukaram, and the Tamil Tiruvayyamoli of Alvars. I know it's hard, but you know this, and you know this. If you do not know now, you will be knowing it later, while you will be studying your art and culture in ancient and medieval. Same content, but used it differently. So rather than writing very generic or very layman point. Try to write it in a very interesting point. This will come by practice. That's why I said maybe I do not have the separate content or resource for mains, but I wrote it very thoroughly. I wrote answers and I wrote approximately 20 tests between prelims and mains itself. And I'm talking this only of GS. So it's the application and the practice that will help you. Okay? The next is cross-thematic bridge. So there will be different themes. There will be different themes, as Mohit sir also told you that in modern history there are 5 to 6 themes, and how they are interlinked to each other. How first theme is the cause of the second theme. How third theme is the consequence of second theme. So similarly, there will be many themes. Like there will be theme of, on the basis of philosophy. There will be theme of, let's say, on the basis of vernacular literature. The third theme can be of devotional iconography. And the fourth theme can be of communal space. Now I have linked each theme with each other while I'm writing the answer. How Bhakti philosophy was being reflected in the writings of Kabir and Tukaram. Okay, how Bhakti philosophy was a classic example of devotional iconography, and how it helped in emerging temple as a communal space. So 4 different themes, but linked through a common thread. Understanding my point? Any issues? You can ask. So that's how you connect it. Rather than writing plain answers, try to merge or interlink the 4 different themes. It will help you to give more analytical answer. Now let's move to the conclusion types. Any issues in introduction of body? Online students? After class? Okay. Now let's start with the conclusion types. Now in conclusion, it's difficult to write conclusions for art and culture. It's difficult to write, you cannot write SDG goals, you cannot write Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. There has to be different conclusions for art and culture, for ancient, for medieval. So let's start with it. Constitutional anchor. If you are able to link any philosophy, any practice that is being reflected in the Constitution of India, and there are many themes, many philosophies, many practices, and if you are able to show that in the conclusion, that's a good way to end your answer. Because a good conclusion is, like, as I stated, is a climax of a Bollywood movie. And why conclusion is also important, because just after the conclusion, the examiner gives marks. So if your conclusion is impactful, the examiner tends to give you more marks. Understanding my point? So no matter how good you have written in your introduction body, of course it matters, but to some extent. But if your conclusion is very layman and it's not good enough, the examiner would be, if let's say we'll be giving 4 marks earlier, he'll be giving you 3.5. But let's say if your introduction were average, but conclusion is very good, very excellent, then he might give you from 3.5 earlier to 4 marks now. Okay, so first is constitutional anchor. So Akbar's Sulekul was not merely tolerance but a civilizational template, one that finds its modern echo in Articles 25 to 28 of our Constitution. What is Article 25 to 28? Okay. The second type is the living heritage conclusion. If you are able to show, let's say, the cultural significance or how the relevance of that particular tradition is relevant in current times, then also it's good conclusion. Because history is past, but you have to show the relevance at least in the present or in the future. The Chola temple is not a ruin, it is a working institution. Every dawn aarti at Brihadivasra is 1,000-year-old continuity. India's heritage is not in museum, it is in motion. The same conclusion you can write about anything. Just replace Chola temple and it's done. Replace any other, let's say, any other practice with that theme that you are writing your conclusion about, and it's done. And finally, just conclude it. India's heritage is not a museum. It's not in museum, it's in motion. Okay? The third type, the past as mirror conclusion. So if you are able to show what learnings we can get from the past and how it acts as a mirror to correct your present and your future, then you are able to show the application of history. The example, the Tamilkam of 2000 years ago still breathes in the social fabric of South India today. In the festivals of Pongal, in the Tamil language, and in the temple economy of Madurai. How I have linked a past thing to the practices that are still being practiced here. Okay? The type 4. The Tagore or Gandhi touch. For example, Tagore called India the meeting place of many cultures, and nothing illustrates this more than the Gandhara art, where Hellenistic chisels carved Indian compassion into Buddhist stones. A question on Buddhism, a question on Buddhist art and architecture, and linked to Tagore. Just link this line to the other themes that has been asked in the question. Just put this line in the first instance and link it to the theme on which the question is asked about. Okay? Type 5, and I personally like it as well, to give forward-looking critical conclusion. That if you are able to give any critical angle or any sort of limitation or drawback, or put any pinch of salt in the end of the answer, then it's good to go. Okay, like democratized devotion. It could not dismantle the caste. It showed that though Bhakti movement was very prominent, but it was not able to eradicate all the social evils. A task that awaited Phule, Ambedkar, and the Indian Constitution. So yes, Bhakti movement was the starting of eradication of the social ills, but it was not able to complete that task fully. So it required people like Phule and Ambedkar and a living document like Indian Constitution to finally eradicate it. Okay. So these are the 5 types of the conclusions that I think you should use while you are writing ancient, medieval, and art and culture question. Same goes for introduction and the body, because these subjects require some other strategies, some other introductions, conclusions, and approaches towards answer writing. These are not your same polity or geography or GS3 or GS4, because the templates are very much available and they are very much broad as well, because you have to give the contemporary times, relevance, examples, data, facts, figures. But when it comes to ancient, medieval, art and culture, or in fact modern India history as well, then it becomes a bit tricky. Okay. Any questions? I'm done with it. Any questions that you want to ask? Any generic question as well? I'm here.
If some question comes that we don't have any idea how to tackle it.
Like if you have no idea about, let's say that particular question might be in subjects like science and tech, and you have absolutely no idea, मतलब आपको हवा भी नहीं लग रही है उसकी, then it's better to leave it rather than wasting time in filling pages. Then it's better to leave it. But if you have some idea, like in 2024 there was a question of on twisters in geography, and I'm sure apart from geography option people, many must be not knowing about it, and it was a 15 marker question. Now I applied some common sense or jugaad, you can say. So if it's a geography question, twister, something is twisting. So either it can be above the sea or under the sea or over the land or some sort of that. But the follow-up question was related to some Gulf of Mexico. That how or what impacts does it have in Gulf of Mexico? You will be going in by 2024 PYQ, you will get it. So then I got to know that okay, it's a oceanic thing, and something is twisting above the ocean. This idea I got. Second, it is happening in Gulf of Mexico. So now I imagined how Gulf of Mexico looks. It is not an open ocean. It is an enclosed or closed sea. So another feature I got. बस इतना ही काफी था to fill, let's say, 2 pages, if not 3 pages. It was a 15 marker question. I'm not saying it was correct. I'm not saying that I must have scored 6 or 7 marks, but it might have helped me in scoring, let's say, 1 or 2 marks, which in UPSC examination is huge. So even an edge of, let's say, 0.5 marks or 1 mark, then you are way ahead of your competitors. Because UPSC is a competitive examination. It's not that how much effort you put it. It's about the relative terms, how much effort you are putting more than the other candidates. So you have to fetch marks. There were some questions on science and tech which I had no idea about. Just a slight idea, kuch common sense, kuch relate karke, but I attempted all the questions of science and tech. And believe me, I didn't prepare that subject very much. Again, I'm not saying that it helped me in gaining 3, 4 or 5 marks, but 1 or 2 marks even. That was enough. in GSC you are getting, let's say, 85 or 90 marks, you are in the top 2 to 3% of the people who are writing mains. Getting my point? So even if your score is 80 and you are able to get 82, that's the fight of that 1 or 2 marks or 0.5 marks more. But if you have no idea about, then leave it. But like if I had no idea about twisters, I would have left it. But कुछ अंदाजा लगा लिया, कुछ लिख दिया, that's it. Please.
If you are prepared for 2027 mains, then what is the right time to make our GS notes from mains?
This is the right time.
Like still classes are going on.
Huh?
Still classes are going
हाँ,
on.
तो while you are doing your classes, prepare it simultaneously. In classes, notes are being told ना, और हो क्या रहा है उनमें, notes ही तो पढ़ाए जा रहे हैं, notes.
From previous year question.
Okay, previous year question that you have to do simultaneously. Like if you have studied in class, let's say Vijayanagar Empire was being taught to you, then go through the PYQs of Vijayanagar Empire. It is very much available in sorted, segregated manner in many Telegram PDFs or many other coaching institutes. So go through it. It will help you first. It will give you direction to your approach. It will help you to give an idea that to what extent or depth you have to prepare that topic. So do it simultaneously. Don't wait for it. And do PYQs daily. It's not a one-day exercise or one-time exercise. You have to go through them again and again and again. Revise it. You have to get the hold of the tone of the UPSC examination, which no institute or coaching is able to replicate it. And that can happen only through PYQs. So you have to go again and again. Revise it. Take it as a Bible. And link it to your notes. Any other query? Kamalappa Nayak. Yes, it's a good technique. In fact, it's very good to draw diagrams. Only, but a very unpopular opinion, only if you find a scope. Like in 2024, while I was writing the GS1 paper, I didn't find any scope to draw a single diagram. But people was like, there was a question on Aurora Borealis and Aurora Australis. People were like, we have made diagrams and such. And मैंने कहा क्या ही बनाया होगा, क्या बना दिया होगा, मतलब क्या रंग बिरंगे कुछ आकाश क्या बनाया है, what did you make? So only if you find the scope, then only make it. Don't make it just because there is a hype in the market. Okay, if you are able to do it while in a simple point-wise manner, your content has to be good. Nothing can replace your content or your argument or your points. Anything else?
To make our conclusive part interact with other subject, it required to get knowledge of all the syllabus. We should get to know at least what syllabus, and till then how to do this, because our classes have started now. It will end till December. So on this phase, how to do it?
I got your point, and your point is very much, your query is very much relevant as well. And for that you have to.
Big process actually. I didn't find myself कैसे करूँ, टाइम ही नहीं मिलता क्लास, then फिर रिवीजन, then फिर स्टैंडर्ड बुक, फिर synopsis, तो हो नहीं पा रहा.
Honestly, if I have to put it that way, if you're going, if you're taking the foundational classes, do your classes, revise it, that's it, and do only 2 subjects per day. That's all you can do realistically. If let's say you are studying polity here, just go and revise your polity and do optional, and finally in the end do the answer writing or some sort of other things like content or value addition or doing the other part. Don't overburden yourself ki I have to do this, I have to do that. Believe me, when you will be start writing the answers in a time bound manner, you will be getting that if you have read this much of it, you are able to remember this much, and finally जब लिखने का समय आएगा तो इतना ही लिख पाओगे. Do not read anything that you think you will not be able to revise, no matter how important that document is. If you think that you will not be able to revise it, don't read it at all. Don't waste your time. Okay, like monthly magazines. I used to not read it in later attempts because I got to know that in the end, this much bundle of monthly magazine will be very difficult to read just before the examination. So substitute it either through newspapers or any other mechanism that you can think of. But even if you are able to do monthly magazines and able to revise it, that's very good. Many toppers do that. It's just that I was not able to do that. So figure out your own way. Don't go by the hype in the market. That's what I'm saying. Do the basic, do the simple things, and you are sorted. In a world full of noises, be silent and do your work. It's still the same old trick. It's the same old resources, books, NCRTs, answer writing practice that saves you. I personally feel that. So interlinkages wala part, don't rush towards it. Don't feel very anxious or devastated that okay, I'm not able to link it. Believe me, there will be questions in which there will be questions in Indian society that will be linked to internal security. But you will be getting it in the while you are writing the FLT full length test or in the actual mains examination. But before that, you have to be patient that okay, if right now I'm reading Indian society, let's read it first. Then internal security, and finally, when you have read both the subjects, then you will be able to interlink it. You cannot expect you to have that same aptitude that you will be having, let's say, after 1 year. You have to go through the process of that 1 year first. Gradually, as the time will pass, just be patient, just be calm, do what's in your hand. Don't bother about the external factors. Anything else?
Sometimes 100% unknown question come with bilkul, that time how to manage
100.
according to you.
Please repeat. 100%.
100% unknown question coming from SMA with GS में बिल्कुल क्वेश्चन का आंसर चाहिए 100% unknown. That time what I do according to you.
Like if a question is there and you have no idea about, that's what I said to the person.
No, bilkul question है. Definitely you answer the question.
No, there is no compulsion over you to answer.
No, मैं पूछ रहा हूँ.
Like if you do not know about it, it's fine that you leave it. Don't waste your time. That's what I say. Like the same Aurora question, it came in under 15 marker, and it was a 3-page question. But after 1.5 pages, I felt there is nothing more to write. So rather than just getting the satisfaction of writing the 3 pages, that's not the wise decision to do. Just drop 1.5 pages answer. That's it. Giving the wrong answer, repeating your points, rephrasing your points. There's no sense to it. Instead, save that time and give that particular time to other questions as well. So if you do not know any answer, there's no compulsion over you and you can just leave it. There's no other way around. You were asking something? Specific topics, yes. Specific topics, yes. Repeated themes like Buddhism, Jainism, like Vijayanagar, like IVC, Harappa, dance, temples. UPSC is nowadays asking about UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So you definitely, yes. For some topics, be very choosy, very selective. Go through the PYQs, identify the high yielding areas. यहाँ से UPSC पूछेगा ही पूछेगा, then only go for it. But yes, you should. You थोड़ा लंबा हो जाएगा. Afterwards, after the class. Okay. Done.
It is necessary to draw a diagram for maximize our score.
It is good if you draw the diagrams to maximize your score, but only draw diagrams if you find the scope of drawing the diagram. Do not draw just because you have to draw it. That's what I'm saying. You can use other things. You can use, like I used hub and spoke model, I used flowcharts, I used other sorts of diagrams to write the points to break the monotony of the answer copy. But that does not mean I draw diagrams. Believe me, in the 4 GS paper, I didn't find a single scope to draw the diagram. ऐसे समझ लो कि मुझे जिन क्वेश्चंस में बनाना चाहिए था वो क्वेश्चंस आते नहीं थे प्रॉपर्ली. But I didn't find the scope, so I didn't draw it. So only if you find the scope, you should draw it. Like in geography, there will be questions about resources. So you will be drawing it. If a question comes on cyclone or earthquake or any landform, then definitely you will be drawing the mechanism of that. But I didn't find the scope, so I didn't draw it. So if you are finding the scope, draw it. Why not? It will it will save your time. It will stop eating your word limit as well. Okay.
Another question. For example, I am geography after. सारा question में मेरा answer related to geography. How to overcome this?
But geography questions are generally.
मैं exam का पूछा, पर मैं sociology ना, मेरा सारा answer sociology related. Even though question is coming from.
Don't write the thinkers. Don't write the thinkers. You can use the keywords, but those keywords should be known to everyone. It should not be very much sociological keyword. Otherwise, it will be.
Sociology, geography मेरा थोड़ा history background में सारा question का history में answer है. How to overcome.
That's what I'm saying. Stop using the thinkers part. Stop using the specific historical keywords of history optional keywords. Stick to GS. Do it consciously. You'll overcome it. Okay.
GS1 marking like 250 में on an average how much student can get next?
Depends कि उस एग्जाम उस ईयर की मार्किंग स्कीम कैसी रही है.
Like 10 marks question में maximum people.
UPSC hasn't given any marking scheme, but based on the trends that have been followed. So if you have written very good answer, 5. In GS4, 5.5. In 15 marker, 6. If you've written very good answer, 7. But again, we still do not know how UPSC gives the marks. It's just the trends that coachings have followed, and it seemed to be working fine.
Madam, another one question. Some people are clear prelims, but did not clear mains. What is the reason?
Answer writing. Practice as much as you can. Don't run after content. Practice, practice, practice. Again, I'm saying I haven't read any other resource for art and culture, ancient, medieval, than my prelims. Whatever I read for prelims, I use the same content for mains. It's just that I use the key terms while as an example to show that, okay, I've given the knowledge part. I have that part. So, but it requires some answer writing skills that will come solely by answer writing practice.
Ma'am, one more question. Suppose when we are using hub and spoke model for answer writing, like did a circle in between and take out the spokes and written there, then what I feel sometimes that the answer, like points, if I could have written it in points, more area of the 2 pages, suppose it's 10 marker, so more area would have covered. But when I am doing that diagram, it became very compact.
Then be choosy and be wise and practical, na? If you think that that particular part should be written on a 2-pager thing, then don't draw the hub and spoke model. But if you think that, okay, this part or this demand of the question requires this much of space only, so then go for hub and spoke model. Like for the non-code demands, I used to follow the hub and spoke model or flowchart model or any other diagrammatic form of, क्योंकि वो कम space लेता है, it breaks the monotony and it tends to bring more keywords out of you. But for when it comes to code demand, I used to follow the simple point-wise format. So be wise कि कहाँ पे कितना use करना है. Okay, any other query? I'll be answering that. Let's stop the live class. Okay, bye everyone, all the best.